Hi, everyone, and welcome to Juno Sphere, where we learn about a whole sphere of topics and how they are interconnected, just as we are all interconnected. The purpose of this video is to enlighten and entertain you. In this video, Juno reveals a variety of myths, beliefs, and misconceptions about bats from around the globe. It's easy to understand how superstitions developed around the bat. Its appearance, eerie cry, and nocturnal habits must have terrified primitive people, and they still do today. Some people associate bats with witches, who were believed to rub a few drops of bat's blood on their broomsticks. The blood was believed to enable the witches to fly the way bats do, without the risk of bumping into anything. Familiar features of Halloween paraphernalia in old style horror movies, virtually everywhere that bats are found, they are identified with witchcraft, perceived as witches' familiars, mounts, and alter egos. If a bat flies near you, it is believed that it is a sign that someone is trying to use witchcraft on you. Perhaps because bats were understood to be transformed witches, they have been used to protect from malevolent witchcraft. A Scottish belief was that when bats in their flight rose upwards and then came swiftly down to earth again, it denoted that the witch's hour had come, the hour when witches had power over all human beings, not specially protected against them. In classical antiquity, the bat symbolized vigilance, and its eye was believed to offer protection against drowsiness. At the same time, bats were already being nailed to doors as protection against night demons and black magic. This practice continues even today in some rural areas. German peasants would nail bats to doors to ward off the devil. A particularly unpleasant English custom involved nailing a live bat above the doorway to ward off witches, perhaps akin to the American ranchers' practice of posting dead coyotes or wolves to warn others away. In Greek fable and legend, the bat is portrayed as shrewd but timid. Bat was also a humorous term for a night reveler. In the Odyssey, the souls of the dead are described as fluttering through the underworld and emitting cries like those of bats. Modern witchcraft practices suggest that maintaining a bat house similar to a bird house on your property will bring joy and good luck. Today, people who understand how beneficial bats are in the control of mosquitoes will provide specially designed houses to encourage bats to reside on their property. Bats are seldom omitted from paintings of witches' sabbaths, and in modern English, the creatures appear in derogatory idioms referring to the mentally ill, as in to have bats in one belfry or to be batty, and calling older women old bats. Unfortunately for bats and women, in medieval Europe, the sight of a flying bat was often interpreted as really being a transformed witch up to no good. Witches were believed to transform into bats, to ride bats like horses, and also to smear their broomsticks with bat's blood so as to achieve liftoff. In 1322, Lady Jacombe of Bayonne, France, was publicly burned at the stake as a witch. The evidence? Swarms of bats had been observed flying around her house and garden. Drops of the bat's blood under a woman's pillow were thought to assure that she would bear many children, and bats furnished miraculous remedies for snake bite and plagues of ants, locusts, and caterpillars. To call an old woman an old bat is not to call her an old battle axe, as many people believe. Bat is not a shortening of battle axe here, but English slang for a prostitute that goes back to at least 1612. Back then, a bat was a prostitute who walked the streets. Like a bat, she usually worked at night, or if she worked during the day, she hid out in the dark recesses like a bat. To go on a bat, a binge or a drinking spree, is similarly connected with the nocturnal bat, the night bird, not the prostitute. Someone who goes on a bat usually stays out all night, often stumbling around, as people thought a bat did in the dark. The first such bat recorded in literature in 1848 describes the spree taking place at night. Steeped in the mystery of Mesoamerican tribal ritual is the legend of Bat. Akin to the ancient Buddhist belief in reincarnation, in Central America, Bat is the symbol of rebirth. Bat also embraces the idea of shamanistic death. Shamanistic death is the symbolic death of the initiate to the old ways of life and personal identity. Bat signals rebirth of some part of the yourself or the death of old patterns. Medieval Europeans associated bats with dragons, magical winged creatures that live in caves and grottos. At first glance, this may seem very flattering for a little bat. However, this association proved unfortunate, as by the Middle Ages the only role European dragons were left to play was as a target for questing knights, and small bats are much easier to kill than fire-breathing dragons. The nocturnal nature of the bat has given it some negative associations. It is symbolic of the night devouring the day. The bat is said to swallow the light because it wakes at dusk, the time between day and night. Native Indian tribes in Brazil say that bats wallowing in the sun will herald the end of the world, and the Mayans believed that the bat was the harbinger of death. Christian belief, too, regards the bat with suspicion. It is seen as an incarnation of Satan. Bats fare far better in other cultures. Among the Maya of Central America, the bat, known as a Zatz, is revered as a protective or guardian god, especially by the Tzatzil tribes. In the mythology of the Quiche Maya, a beheading bat from the underworld appears frequently. In Mayan mythology, the bat god Quetzalcoatl was defeated after the creation of human beings. He was one of the four great winged beings who attacked the wooden bodies created by Cucumats and Tepiu that were intended to become the first living humans. They attacked a different part of the body to prevent the pollution of the primordial world. In South America, bats were thought of as the devourers of the sun, who flocked around the Aztec lord of the underworld, Mictlantecutli, carrying human heads in their claws. Bats figure prominently in African folklore. In East Africa, bats are witches' mounts. In the Ivory Coast, bats represent souls of the departed, while in Madagascar, bats aren't just any old souls, but those of criminals, sorcerers, and the unburied dead. In African myths, the bat was often considered especially intelligent since it never collided with anything in flight. In Africa, bats are believed to be the spirits of the dead. They hover around the body of the deceased until doomsday. In South Africa, people tell stories of bats originally being little people with human faces, but elsewhere it is said that bats can help young men discover treasure, but only after they have offered blood to drink. In Greece and parts of Africa, the bat was a symbol of vigilance. In the pre-Columbian and later Kogi mythology, the bat was considered to be one of the first animals ever created, the offspring of the sun's love for his son. The bat subsequently acquired an association with sorcery. Not all associations with bats are negative, not even vampire bats. The Kogi people of northern Colombia associate the vampire with human fertility. Their euphemistic expression for a girl who begins to menstruate is that she has been bitten by the bat. According to the Kogi, the bat was the very first animal to be created, emerging directly from the Creator's body. In the Isle of Man and along the Welsh border, witches were said to transform themselves occasionally into bats and to enter houses in that form. A Mrs. E. M. Leather relates the story of a man at Wobley Marsh who saw something like a bat fly into his room. He struck at it with a handkerchief, but when he went to look for the corpse, there was nothing there. He said afterwards that he knew from this it was a disguised witch, one of those who then lived upon the marsh, because a real bat would certainly have been killed by his blow. In Oxfordshire, it is a death omen if a bat flies 3 times around a house. When bats come out early in the evening and fly about as though playing, it is a sign of fine weather to come. Bats in Egypt are considered to be the guardians of pure water, since the sultan of the bats lives in a deep well shaft. Among the Ainu of northern Japan, the bat is said to be the one animal that did not come from heaven, but was made by the Creator in this world. They see the bat as wise and courageous and able to combat the demons who bring disease. Do you know of any myths or superstitions about bats? Please let me know in the comments section. I love to read your input. For more information on a variety of topics, please check out the growing library of videos on Junosphere. Also, please take time to view the companion bat video titled October Superstitions, Bats from Teeth to Tequila, for additional batty facts. Please like, subscribe, comment, and share, and jingle that bell for notifications. I'm so appreciative of your support. Thanks for tuning in, and I invite you to tune into Junosphere again soon. Bye!